This is why I love and value sight reading so much. This morning, I was minding my own business, having a good time, being a diligent music lover, doing some sight reading practice. And I came across this song that just captured me with this haunting melody that I'd never heard before. According to the book I was working through, which is just one of the standard children's education books, I think it's the Alfred book. It's let me look for it here. I use my iPad, but I'm on my phone because I'm recording with my iPad. But what it says, so this is Lullaby, All the Pretty Little Horses. And apparently this is one of the true classics among early American lullabies, and it has been sung by so many different ways, and this is one of the best known versions. I've never heard it before in my life, and the only reason I heard it, I didn't hear it, I played it, and I've never heard it. But that's what's cool about being able to read, is that, this morning, I'm not in the mood to sit around and listen to stuff. Playing and experiencing music is not the same as listening to something. It's kind of a bit annoying if you want to play something and you have to listen to it first, and then you have to decode it in your head and write out the chords. Or, let's say you find a chord chart, but you don't know how the song goes. So, what I love so much about being able to sight read is a day like today, I found that song and it just captured me. I'm like, I have to really play this. So I played it a couple times as written. And then I thought, man, I want to give some recording a try, see what it sounds like when I record myself and play it back, because that's a lot of fun. And recording is also a great exercise to be able to observe the subtleties of things that you can improve on. And what better time to do it than when you've got this haunting melody in your head that you love so much? Then perfect opportunity, as long as you're not in that phase, because most of us have a phase when we can't record without wanting to vomit when we see ourselves, because that's just the natural way every one of us is. But anyway, I wanted to record it. Problem is, I always record with my iPad, unless I just do an audio recording with my my piano features. So the cool thing with sight reading and having the other skills with it, I just Googled it online, came up with a chord chart, and played through it in a different key, and then kind of adjusted it a little bit. If all you can do is sight read, then number one, I wouldn't be able to play the melody with this thing. I wouldn't have a clue what to do with it. I could play the chords if I had that skill, but being able to pick this out, of course, I didn't have my B flat there a minute ago. And I would like to improve my oral training skills better to where I won't make those mistakes, but that's where I'm at right now. I can figure it out pretty quickly and remember it well enough to play it as many times as I jolly well please based on the chord chart. And then the cool thing too is even if you don't have the skills yet to pick out the melodies by ear, most of us can sing without having to memorize things exactly. So anyway, this was just kind of a blast for me, and this happens once in a while when I pick up run across something by sight reading, and I don't have to listen to it. And sometimes I do, look it up to listen to it just to make sure I'm getting things quite right. And in this particular case, I'm kind of freestyling the rhythms a little bit. It's supposed to be straight eighth note rhythms. How did it go? Anyway, I have to look at it just to get it back in my head, but I'm kind of making it a little more loose and fluid, which you got freedom to do that, which is part of what makes it so great to have a variety of skills. I don't think so many people dismiss sight reading because they say, well, I don't want to be a sight reader. But if that was my only reason to learn sight reading, I would quit right now, because I'm not going to be a top level sight reader. But the thing is, sight reading is one of those things you use with your other skills. You get a good lead sheet or even a chord chart, and your sight reading skills plug right into that, and you can do things that you couldn't do otherwise. Also, in terms of if you want to write down your own stuff, it really helps to be able to to understand what you're doing in the first place, which sight reading fits well with learning music theory, but also to be able to jot things down at different points and to be able to create your own, just for the fun of it, create your own instrumental stuff. But anyway, that's my shameless plug for why everybody should learn every area. You should learn to improvise, you should learn to read chord charts, you should learn to sight read straight up, and learn your ear training. Every piece of those. I would far rather be mediocre at all of them than be excellent at one of them and a 0 at the others, which is, ironically, it's kind of where I ended up, not exactly by choice. I would like to be, I wish I had spent time as a kid, to get that early start, so that by now I would, if I had followed that path, I would be able to sight read at a pretty standard level, but I didn't, and so I can't. But in terms of what I'm willing to pursue right now, that's the reason I want to prioritize each of them, because I think you miss something really big if it's hard to read, There's a difference between being able to read and actually being able to read, to be able to sit down, like in this case, I could have, roughly speaking, figured out the melody based on the sheet music, 5 or 6, 7 years ago. But I wouldn't have been able to enjoy it. Now I can actually enjoy it, and then I can, if I wanted, I could write my own rearrangement of it based on what I intuitively do improvisationally. And also having a little bit of music theory in your head. When I came to the end of the song and I felt like, we've been going so much in these we're in this minor key. We very rarely, the only time we come out of minor, at least according to this chord chart, with a folk song, you can have different, put on whatever chords you want, so it depends where you look. But in this chord chart, it's all minor, and then in the, I guess it's the bridge or whatever it is, the chorusy kind of thing, you get a little bit of major there. And it feels so satisfying. And the only way I know this is because of listening to some music theory podcasts. The only reason it would occur to me, because this almost feels like you're breaking a rule, but it works so well. And it's not in any sheet music I found, to, when you feel like it, you get the freedom. Take that final D minor chord. You might think, well, why don't we switch it to a relative major chord? Well, that's a major 6. No, it doesn't have any finality to it. So let's make it a major 3, which would be, can't even figure that out on the fly because it's a minor chord, so there is no major 3. Well, it's supposed to be an F. And that sounds like a chord, like a key change, But how about this one? So far, we're just in a D5 kind of setup with some 2s in there. And then we're going to add and make this into, we're going to make it into a D major. That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool, And that is why it is so cool expanding your breadth of what kind of skills you're learning. Don't just learn by ear. Don't just learn by sight reading. Don't just learn by chords. When they tie together, and all these different disparate things that you use separately, when you use them together, you've got this feeling of freedom, and it is absolutely amazing. blacks and bays, dapples and grays, coach and 6 little horses. Hush-a-bye, don't you cry, go to sleep, little baby. Hush-a-bye, don't you cry, go to sleep, little baby. When you wake, you shall have all the pretty little horses, blacks and bays, dapples and grays, coach and 6 little horses. Hush-a-bye, don't you cry, go to sleep, little